Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about A Respectable Woman by Chopin. Now, before I go into summary analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. Alright, so we have a lot to talk about here. Very interesting work. Lots of things are happening within this work. So within this work, we meet a woman by the name of Mrs. Baroda. Mrs. Baroda and her husband, they're farmers. They have a good life together. Everything is well. Now, her husband has a good friend that he knew back in school, back in college, and supposedly the friend is coming to visit. And well, Mrs. Baroda, she's not happy about this. She doesn't want the friend to visit, and before the friend even comes, she's like, I'm not gonna like him. I don't want anything to do with him. Maybe he shouldn't come. Things like that. And this is one thing I would say husbands should really listen to their wives about. When your wife is like, she doesn't want a certain guest or she doesn't want somebody to come over. I know that it might be a good friend of yours. I don't think it's weak if you kind of like listen to your wife because she is your wife. When you get married to somebody, you become one with them, and there's certain emotions, certain feelings that you have to acknowledge because if you don't, that will be the end of the marriage. Because especially when you're in a marriage, emotions are extremely important. Emotions, feelings, dispositions, these things are very, very important to acknowledge. In fact, I would say people will say finances and situations are the things that make couples break up. It's not. The number one thing that make couples break up is the lack of emotional um like not acknowledging, not understanding, not seeing what the person needs emotionally, in the feelings and the attitude. Because even if you have no money, if you guys truly understand each other and you can make each other um, see each other, you'll be willing to go through a lot of things together, even times of hardship. But if you can't see each other, you can't understand each other's emotions, feelings, attitudes, you can't walk together because you're gonna see the person next to you as dead weight, as something that's not trying to keep you up. Because life is hard. There's definitely always going to be things that you have to deal with. But if you have a partner and you have somebody next to you that is willing to see when you need help, see when you're struggling, see when they can help in and when they can step in and step out of your emotional space, when to, give you a hug when you need it, when to give you space when you need it, and when to laugh, when to not laugh. That those things are very important because when somebody that you live next to is always stabbing you in the back emotionally, you just want to get away from that person. Within this work, Mrs. Baroda is telling her husband that, she's not comfortable with this friend coming over. And it's not like she's met the friend, it's just something within her, it's like, I don't want this friend here. I don't know why. She's already had some ideas about what the friend is going to be like, even though she doesn't know the friend. I know this is like this pre-idea of what the friend is going to be, and that's not fair. But at the same time, this is your wife. You have a college friend. You don't know what may happen. And as a man, you should always protect your marriage before anything. That's why ultimately we do get a ambivalent ending to this work where the wife pretty much has like a sexual awakening, an emotional awakening, an attachment to Governale. Because Governale is the friend. He comes to the farm, plantation, and well, the wife doesn't know what to do. She's besides herself. Governale is reserved. He's mysterious. He doesn't like hunting. He doesn't like fishing. Or maybe it's not that he doesn't like them. He just, that's not what his primary interests are. He's, he knows poetry. It seems like he has some type of information about the world, about life that nobody else has. He has this type of mystery, this type of stoic feeling to him, this type of brooding aspect of him, this mysteriousness to him. And a lot of women do find things like that attractive. The mysterious guy, the brooding guy, the guy that's not part of the crowd, the guy that seems to be above it all, that he's not trying to be cool, he's not trying to be fresh, he's not weak, he's not slow, he's just complete. And Governale, that's what he appears at. He's not trying. That's what he appears as. He's not trying to impress anybody. He's just himself. He's cool with everybody. He looks like a guy that could just be friends with anybody. He's not, his temper is not over the moon. He's not overly confident. He's not too confident. He's just like, it's almost like he's a man at peace. And this can be very attractive to a lot of women. So, it comes to the point where Governale is not bothered if Mrs. Baroda doesn't talk to him. He's not bothered if she does talk to him. He's not bothered whatever she does. He's not trying to connect with her. He could connect with her if she wants to, but if she doesn't want to, it's fine with him. So nothing is not like he's not tied to some type of worldview. In this life you have men who are passionate, ambitious, weak, slow, poor. There's people in all types of categories, but there are some people that they're just good. I mean, they just reach a point where they're content. And again, that for a lot of women, when you meet a guy like that, for some women, it's attractive. And that's what happens to Miss Baroda. I mean, her husband is great. He has income, he has a farm, he's caring, he's affectionate, but he doesn't truly understand all of his wife's feelings, especially when she tries to open up to her husband about how she feels about Governale. The husband doesn't truly completely understand the depth of Mrs. Baroda's feelings, to the point where she's like, I have to leave. And she does leave. She goes away to the city to not be around Governale. And why? It's because personally, in terms of deeper meaning analysis, she's developing feelings that she doesn't understand. Sexual feelings, emotional feelings, attachment feelings, bonding feelings, things that are besides her. Um, when it comes to the realm of romance, like friendships, romantic relationships, entanglements, situationships, there's so many different types of feelings that we ourselves don't understand. Because I think sometimes feelings and emotions surpass our conscious understanding. There's some people that you may want to get close to that maybe you're not interested in them sexually, but it just feels cool to just be around them. It's like there's just some people that just have that type of energy, that type of um, you know atmosphere around them, that you kind of just want to be around them because you're happy and it feels great. Um, and Mrs. Baroda, she's like, you know, it's mind-boggling to her because she doesn't know exactly what she feels for Governale. She's a married woman. I mean, she has her husband. We know that they're married. They have a whole romantic relationship. But it comes to the point within the short story where she wants to touch Governale. She wants to touch his face, touch his lips, and whisper on his cheek. I mean, these are very sensual, very close knit things that you want to do with like a lover. Um, and the story is not like, oh, she wants to just sleep with him. It's like this tenderness, this nuance of emotions. These are like little baby steps of emotions, little pitter patters of emotions that are not completely understood. And even, Mrs. Baroda, she doesn't truly understand what she feels for Governor herself. She just, it's overwhelming what she's getting from this man. Ultimately, she leaves, and then, Governor goes back to wherever he came from. And then at the end of the work, the husband's like, maybe I should invite him back over again for, the next summer. And she's like, sure, invite him back. This time I'll be nice to him. And this is where, for me, the story is the most dark, because she already wanted to touch his face and touch his lips and whisper things on his cheek. Um, this is like a sexual awakening. If you don't want to go that far, we can say that there's some tender feelings, tender emotions that she's feeling. And well, that would lead to an affair. I mean, when you feel that close and tight and personal with somebody, especially with a male and female relationship, it often leads to sex or some type of romantic entanglement. Because you just want to keep getting closer and closer and closer. And especially with for men and women, we all know what getting closer means. It even you may not want it to get there, but if both parties feel close and cozy and comfortable and friendly, it sometimes develop into a romantic situation. But she's already and she's already married, and well, we don't know if Governor is into her in that way. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's just a cool guy that just wants to be friends with anybody. Because here within this work, we don't really get the mental part of Governor's feelings towards Mrs. Baroda. It's really just Mrs. Baroda going off on her emotions, her feelings, and what she's getting. So in terms of deeper meaning analysis here, people, there's a lot happening. Again, Kate Chopin is a master in really letting us know what's happening within somebody's emotions and head. And, well, it's very telling of the human condition because, well, when you're married, you love the person you're married to. And even coming from a biblical sense, what I have to say is like in the Bible, there's this idea of you have to stay away from temptation. And although this work is not referencing the Bible, from my own experience and reading really powerful literature, and we know the Bible has a lot of powerful literature. The Bible talks about these emotions and these feelings and temptation that we have to very, very careful with temptation because it's a snare, it's a trap, it's a trick, it's deception, and she could break apart her marriage. She could destroy her life because of these feelings and these emotions and these things that she's feeling. Because once you get nice and cozy and tight with somebody, there's things that can develop that can lead you to other things where you end up in an affair, an adultery, and it's just this is where this is headed, especially when the story ends with like, oh, she's going to be nicer to him this time. How nice can we get? I mean, last time you wanted to touch his face and whisper things on his cheek. I mean, how much tighter, how much nicer are we going to get? Is this going to lead to the bedroom? So very great short story telling us a lot about the human condition and how subtle things can change and how subtle we can want to be close to somebody, especially, um, you know, especially for what's going on with this family, this marriage. Mrs. Baroda has a lot to go through, man, and it's not looking good because she's like fighting temptation to be closer to Governale, but at the same time, she knows that she's married. She knows that she's a respectable woman. So there's definitely a fight here between her identity as a respectable woman, and her lust, not just sexual lust, but just her wanting to know more about this man because he's definitely a different flavor, compared to her husband. Her husband is definitely caring and affectionate, but this man is just on a whole nother level, and who knows what could happen. This is why this is a very ambivalent story, and he leaves us off as, well, they're going to invite him again. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if her feelings will be reciprocated. We don't know. So, go figure. All right, that's all I had to say about this work. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.